what is up and welcome back to the channel. Now today I'm going to be giving you guys my official UFC 266 predictions and my breakdown. I'm going to tell you guys who you guys should pick to win this fight because I want to help you guys out. By the way guys, I am pre-recording this on a Wednesday night and I gotta get this recorded pretty quick, so apologies if it's not as detailed, and also if things do change with the Diaz and Lawler fight, I'm really sorry you guys. I'm not gonna be able to get to the setup when I need to put this video out, but I'm gonna be giving you guys the breakdown of the entire card. We're gonna start off with the main and work our way down to the two preliminary bouts that I'm really excited for. So we're gonna start off with the main between Volkanovski and Ortega. This is going to be a really sick fight. I'm very excited for this fight, man. It's actually a really interesting matchup, too, because Alexander Volkanovski is probably the best wrestler in the entire top 5, if not top 10 of that featherweight division. He's just very well-rounded. He's a good striker, too. His jiu-jitsu isn't bad either. I mean, he's just very well-rounded, and that's why he is the champion. And taking on T-City and Brian Ortega, the jiu-jitsu game of Ortega, if this fight hits the mat, I really do think Ortega might end up getting that submission and becoming the new champ. But I think Volkanovski is probably going to win this fight if he can keep it on the feet. And my main key to victory for him is those leg kicks. Look at what he did to Max Holloway. He ate up Max Holloway's legs with the leg kicks. So I think he's really going to need to do that to Brian Ortega if he wants to take a win in this fight. You know, my prediction for this one, by the way, guys, I'm trying to get through these pretty quick. My prediction for this one, and this is a really interesting fight. It's a really interesting matchup. The dynamic is interesting, too, because these guys are tough coaches, and it's been a fat bit since we've seen tough coaches going at it. I got to take Volkanovski because he is the champ, and not only is he the champion, I feel like he's just his well-roundedness and his wrestling is going to be it's going to be a big weapon. And obviously Ortega's striking has gotten so much better lately. Look at that Korean Zombie fight, man. Ortega looked amazing with the striking. But still, I think Volkanovski's probably going to take this one. There's not a crazy height discrepancy, 2 inches to Ortega, but a reach advantage to Volkanovski. So I feel like the height difference isn't that much of a big deal, especially when you consider that reach of Volk. So I'm gonna take Volkanovski in this one, and I'm gonna take him by TKO. I'm gonna take him by TKO in the 4th round. I think his cardio is just better than Ortega's if he can mix it up. But also, it's not to say that we haven't seen anything that tells me that Ortega's cardio is bad. But that's just what I'm going off. That's what I'm feeling for this picker, man. I'm taking Volkanovski, which I think is a good pick. I think that's, probably pretty realistic. But Ortega could win this fight. I wouldn't be shocked if he wins this fight. It's probably going to be probably by submission. I really doubt Volkanovski submits him. But I'm going to take Volkanovski by KO TKO in the 4th round. I think his pace is going to be a lot for Ortega to handle, especially I think Volkanovski is going to keep coming at him, and it's going to be a lot for Ortega. But I wouldn't be shocked if it goes to a decision. But yeah, man, I'm gonna take Volkanovski in this one. Yeah, that's my pick for the main. Next up, we have the co-main event between Lauren Murphy and Valentina Shevchenko. Man, Lauren Murphy, she's one of my favorite fighters in the entirety of the UFC. So is Valentina Shevchenko, though. Don't get me wrong, man. Watching Valentina Shevchenko fighting is just her fighting style is super exciting. Lauren Murphy's personality is super awesome too, man. Her outside of the octagon, even watching the embeddeds, she just seems like a really nice lady. But looking at this fight, looking at statistically all that, they both have a reach of 67 inches. They're both the same height, but Lauren Murphy is bigger. She's fought up at 145 before. But do I think that's gonna make a difference against Shevchenko, guys? I really don't. I think Lauren Murphy, I think she's really cool, man. She's one of my favorite fighters. But I think Shevchenko takes this fight in a fairly dominant fashion, like she always has been. I think Lauren Murphy does present some interesting challenges, but I really don't think Lauren Murphy is anything super better than Jessica Andraj. So I'm gonna take Valentina Shevchenko. I'm gonna take her by You know what? I'm going to take her by a second round TKO. I think Valentina Shevchenko, she's just so well-rounded, man. It's hard to pick against her. So I'm going to take Valentina Shevchenko in the co-main and by a second round TKO KO. But, Lauren Murphy very well could. Lauren Murphy's pretty tough, so I wouldn't be shocked if this fight went on into the 4th or 5th and got finished there. A finish for Shevchenko. Next up, we have the highly controversial fight. We got Diaz versus Lawler, man. We got the return of Nick Diaz taking on Robbie Lawler, and this fight's already changed weight classes during fight week, something that's incredibly rare in MMA in general, but especially in the UFC. And also, there's talks that Nick Diaz got knocked out in sparring, and he got knocked out fairly recently, and that's understandable why his camp wants to move this fight down or up to 185 rather, so he doesn't have to cut as much weight, so he's not as drained, so it's not going to be as bad for his head, obviously. But man, Lawler, I think this fight is always going to be a hard stylistic matchup for Robbie Lawler. But, man, the way I've heard people talk about Nick Diaz, and maybe I'm just buying into that hype, maybe I'm just listening to these people and I shouldn't be, I'm inclined to take Robbie Lawler because of his activity. He is the number 15th ranked welterweight, so he's not exactly been, climbing up the ranks again or anything, but he did become a champion after that Nick Diaz loss. I think this is a hard stylistic matchup for Lawler, especially if it's going into 5 rounds. But also, man, we haven't seen Diaz in a while. I think people are just kind of assuming that his cardio is going to be on point, and we don't know, especially if this fight's being moved up to 185. That could make a difference for Lawler as well. But, man, this fight feels like the main event, man. It got me talking a lot about it. So, I'm going to... it's a tough pick for me. I'm going to take Lawler just based on his activity. It's going to be interesting to see, though. It'll be really interesting to see. Nick Diaz has been away for such a long time. It's hard. And it's weird, man. I wasn't even alive for their first fight, so it's just a crazy dynamic. I'm going to take Lawler. I'm going to take Lawler, and I'm going to take him by decision. If Nick Diaz did get knocked out pretty recently, I'm taking him by KO, TKO. But if he didn't, and I think that knockout footage is from a longer time ago than what Josh Thompson was talking about. I got to take Robbie Lawler, man. Still. I'm going to take Robbie Lawler. I'm going to take him by decision. Could maybe a KO, TKO later on in the fight. But, man, don't underestimate Nick Diaz, especially on the mat. This fight hits the mat. Oh, Nick Diaz, bro, he's dangerous down there. And his striking is very good. But it's been a while since we've seen him. And I got to give the advantage just the man who's been more active in Robbie Lawler. Now, what's next for Robbie Lawler after this? I don't know. Feels like the only way, if Robbie Lawler wins this, it's not that crazy. Nick Diaz wins this, it's crazy, and he moves up big times in the ranking. And in the rankings, does he stay at 185, though? Hopefully he goes to 170 because I think that's the best weight class for him. But if he wants to stay at 185, if he's feeling good, there's some interesting matchups to be made for him at 185. Even thinking about him versus Adesanya, that could be an interesting matchup. Do I think he has what it takes to get up to the title shot? Heck no, man. But you never know. Nick Diaz is a fan favorite, though, so I'm excited for that one. Next up, we have, the fourth fight, or second fight on the main card. We got Curtis Razor Blades versus Giarsino Biggie Boy Rosenstrike. Guys, I'm not going to give a crazy breakdown for this one. I think I'm going to take Rosenstrike by an upset with a KO in the third round. Or in the second round, rather. But, that's not the most likely pick I've ever made. I kind of just want to see it. I think Curtis Blades is taking this fight pretty too quickly after that Derek D. Lewis KO loss. But, you never know. I think Curtis Blades is probably going to be able to take Giarsino down. But if he can't, I got to take Giarsino by second round KO, TKO. If not, probably the more likely thing that's going to happen, man, is going to be a Curtis Blades decision. But, it'll be interesting to see. Next up, we have Jessica Andraj versus Cynthia Cavallo. Guys, I think Jessica Andrade is so good compared to pretty much everyone else at strawweight. It's I think Lauren Murphy gives her a real tough challenge, but man, Jessica Andrade, I gotta take her. You can't bet against Jessica Andrade, man. You really can't. But you never know. After she did get TKO'd by the champ, so it's interesting. But next up, man, we've got these two prelim bouts that I'm really excited about that I'm going to talk about real quick, and then we'll move on. Next up, so I guess the main of the prelims, we've got Marlon Moraes versus Merab Dvalishvili. I can't pronounce Merab's last name, man, but I am high right now. A lot of people are high on Merab right now, and I am one of those people. I think he has what it takes. His takedowns they're amazing, bro. He's just pretty sure he's a Georgian. He's like the country, by the way, not the state. I mean, his takedowns are just really immaculate. They're amazing. Do I think he's going to be able to stop Marlon Moraes, though? Or Marlon Moraes is going to be able to stop those takedowns and, use his very good striking? Not really, man. I got to take Merab. I got to take the up-and-coming prospect. I think he's probably one of the most important fights for him of the night. He's a really big prospect on this card. I got to take Merab. But it could be an interesting fight, man. Marlon Moraes, I really don't think he's going to be able to stop those takedowns. He had like 50-something, and of course, like 3 fights. Merab did, I feel like. It was something crazy, though. I don't know. It's probably not right, but it was some crazy number like that. Next up, the other prelim I'm really excited about. By the way, guys, apologies for not flashing up these fights. I don't have the time to edit, man. I really wish I did, but I can't get it out, man. I'm not at my setup. I've got to schedule this, upload all that, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to get this out as quick as possible. Dan Hooker versus Nasrat Haqparast. Pretty sure I pronounced Nasrat's last name. Nasrat's an interesting fighter, man. He reminds me a lot of Michael Chandler. I don't know what his height is. He's 5'10". Yeah, he's 5'10", so he's taller than Michael Chandler. But his body type, man, he reminds me of Michael Chandler, especially the way how explosive he is. But I gotta take Dan Hooker, man. I feel like this is a bit of a tune-up fight for Dan Hooker. But is Dan Hooker and Nasrat, are they going to even be able to make this fight, man? Only time will tell. At the time of recording this, we don't know. Dana White said in a recent media scrum that they're going to be able to get it done, but both these guys are having visa issues, so it'll be interesting to see if this fight does get made. I really hope it does, though, because Dan Hooker he's another one of my favorite fighters, man. He's so fun to watch, and, I got to take Dan Hooker. Nasrat isn't bad, though. Don't underestimate Nasrat. Dan Hooker did lose his last fight to Michael Chandler. He's coming off that knockout, but he's taken, in my opinion, the right amount of time off from that fight. But he's taking on Nasrat. Nasrat has some real knockout power, especially that big overhand left. That's why I say he reminds me of Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler's got that big overhand right, and he's also really explosive. But yeah, man, that's my official breakdown. To sum up my entire card, I got Dan Hooker winning. I have Merab, I can't pronounce his last name, I feel really bad. To kick off the card, I have Jessica Andraj winning. I have Giarsino Rosenstrike winning, but most likely it's going to be Curtis Blades. But I'm being crazy, I'm being awesome, and I'm taking Giarsino, Biggie Boy, Rosenstrike. Next up, in that Coco main event, I don't know what you want to call it, I'm taking Robbie Lawler, but I think a lot of people are taking Nick Diaz, and rightfully so, because he is very dangerous. But, man, that sparring footage that people are talking about, gotta take Robbie Lawler. Next up, we got that co-main. Guys, I'm taking Valentina Shevchenko, Valentina the champion. And in that main, man, I already said it. By the way, I'm just repeating these. I took Volkanovski, man. I took the great. But if Ortega took this, man, I wouldn't be completely shocked. That's really a pick-em to me. But that's going to do it for today's video, man. I hope you guys did enjoy. This UFC 266 breakdown. Hopefully I can do more like these in the future. And hopefully the editing will be better on these. But, yeah, man. Take care and peace.